This is Frontline on Air. Major stories on the go.
Vedanta's oil exploration plan threatens Assam's last Gibbon sanctuary. Modi government's new policy lets Cairn Oil and Gas advance 264 crore project near Hoolock Power Reserve while Wildlife Board demands inspection. Ayaskant Das.
Voice by Rakesh Sharma, Timber Media.
The London-headquartered corporate conglomerate Vedanta Group seems to be a major beneficiary of the Narendra Modi government's decision to remove oil and natural gas exploration activities from the ambit of environmental impact assessment. It has enabled the Anil Agarwal-headed company to fast-track a 264 crore rupee oil exploration project in a wildlife-rich and ecologically sensitive area of Assam, flanked by densely populated rural settlements. However, the project has hit a roadblock after the Standing Committee of the National Board for Wildlife, NBWL, the country's top authority on wildlife conservation, said in late October that the plan would not be approved until a site inspection was carried out. The issue has also led to opposition from activists and political leaders. In the last week of August, the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change gave the go-ahead to Cairn Oil and Gas, a Vedanta subsidiary, to prospect for oil on about 4.5 hectares of land within the notified eco-sensitive zone, ESZ, of a wildlife sanctuary, WLS. The ESZ is a buffer zone that can extend up to 10 kilometers from the boundaries of a sanctuary. In September, the ministry's Forest Advisory Committee, FAC, granted in-principle approval for oil exploration. Assam government clearance. The project area is close to the boundary of the Hoolock Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary in Assam's Jorhat district. The Himanta Biswa Sharma-led state government had earlier this year recommended the clearance on the basis of the State Forest Department's findings that the project would have only a minimal impact on flora and fauna, and also because it was of national importance. It will apparently help in mainstreaming disgruntled Nagas living on Assam's border, apart from reducing the country's dependence on expensive imported oil. In late August, Congress leader Gaurav Gogoi said that the Assam Forest Department's recommendation was deeply troubling and urged the union minister concerned to reconsider the issue. The Forest Department's findings are, however, contrary to a conservation report prepared by Cairn Oil and Gas in June 2020, which outlines measures to protect the endangered hoolock gibbon and the Indian elephant in the wildlife sanctuary. It is also in deviance from the Environmental Impact Assessment (EIA) report prepared by Vedanta in April 2019 for the Assam government. Cairn plans to drill 29 wells in the oil block area if there is a commercially viable discovery of hydrocarbons. Some of these oil wells have been planned near human settlements and infrastructure, including schools, hospitals, and other community places. Cairn Oil and Gas was allocated the block AA-ONHP 2017/4 in early 2018 by the Narendra Modi-led National Democratic Alliance government during its first term. Following this, on October 1st that year, Vedanta and the Union Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas signed a revenue-sharing contract for exploration and exploitation of hydrocarbons over an area of 839 square kilometers. As exploratory and appraisal drilling activities required environmental clearance under the Environmental Impact Assessment Notification 2006, Cairn applied to the Environment Ministry for the terms of reference to carry out an EIA study. As per documents available in the public domain, on April 18, 2019, the ministry provided Vedanta with a set of terms of reference, following which it prepared a detailed EIA study for the project. Plan to drill wells. As per the EIA report dated September 25, 2019, Cairn plans to drill 29 oil wells for the project. The report, submitted to the state government, states that the selection of well sites is primarily based on geological considerations and environmental considerations, that is, location of sensitive ecological habitats, settlements, schools, hospitals, water bodies, and so on. It also said that care had been taken to locate the wells at a safe distance from these locations. The report, which was prepared with the help of a private consultant, said, quote, "The Hollongapara Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary is surrounded by the boundary of the block area, but it has been excluded from the area constituting the block. However, the block area, along with the proposed well sites, falls within the 10-kilometer buffer zone of the WLS. The land use comprises tea gardens, homestead plantations, agricultural lands, forest land and settlements. Besides these, river, canal, water bodies and marshy land have been observed in the proposed block area." End quote. On the flora and fauna of the region, the report said, quote, that is, the proposed project site has very rich biodiversity and is home to, apart from the western hoolock gibbon, Bengal slow lories, stump-tailed macaque, northern pig-tailed macaque, rhesus macaque, and capped langur. There are Indian elephants, leopards, civet, wild boars, various types of squirrel, and mammals. Among flora species, the upper canopy consists mostly of Dipterocarpus macrocarpus, that is the holong tree, rising 12 to 30 meters and having straight trunks. Other species found in the top canopy include Sam, that is Artocarps chaplasha, Amari, that is Amura valichii, Sopas, Michaelia species, Bhelu, Tetramels nudiflora, Udal, Sterculia villosa, and Hingori, Castronopsis species. Nahar, that is Mesua ferrea, which dominates the middle canopy with its spreading crown. Other middle canopy species include Bandordima, Fulgomari, Dhuna, Otega, and Sassi. Lower canopy includes a variety of shrubs and herbs." Unquote. The study divided the area of influence of the project into two divisions: the core area, where the villages are directly impacted by the project, and the buffer area, within a 2.5-kilometer radius of the project, where the proposed well sites are located. The assessment cited Census 2011 data to state that of the villages in which the wells were proposed to be located, Sinamara, 3,045 households, Meleng Grant, 1,842 households, and number 160 Grant, that is 1,475 households, were the most populous. In contrast, Mout Gaon, Sukanpanya Gaon or Sukanjonya Gaon, number 11 Grant, and Bengalis Gaon had fewer than 100 households each. Change in policy. In January 2020, when the EIA of the project was still under its consideration, the central government effected a change in policy, whereby oil block allottees were no longer required to obtain environmental clearance before drilling and exploratory activities. The provisions of the 2006 notification would, however, continue to remain applicable for extraction of hydrocarbons for commercial purposes as per the Environment Ministry's Gazette notification issued on January 16, 2020. At the time, environmentalists and conservationists criticized the move and alleged that it was made for the benefit of corporate conglomerates, as almost all oil blocks, onshore and offshore, were in ecologically sensitive areas. Following this, a statement by the Directorate General of Hydrocarbons said, quote, "As exploration activities in the hydrocarbon sector have been moved from Category A to Category B2, they will now require environmental clearance only from the states concerned and will not require preparation of an EIA report or conduct of public hearing. However, development or production, both on offshore or onshore fields as hydrocarbon blocks, will continue to merit assessment as Category A." End quote. Baghjan Incident. The same year, on May 27th, gas leakage in Oil India Limited's Baghjan project in Tinsukia district of Assam brought several issues to the forefront, including disregard of the environment while providing clearance for oil projects in ecologically sensitive areas. Following the leakage, on June 9th, the oil well caught fire in what was one of the worst oil well disasters in the country. The fire was brought under control after several months, but not without considerable loss of lives, displacement of local communities, and large-scale environmental degradation to the Dibru Saikhova National Park and the Maguri Motapung Bil, a wetland near the park. Issues pertaining to compensation and rehabilitation of communities affected by the disaster have allegedly not been resolved to date. In June 2020, Vedanta prepared a comprehensive plan outlining the description of the project and for the conservation of Schedule 1 species, that is Indian elephant and hoolock gibbon, in the project area. The report on its comprehensive plan stated, quote, "The Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, that is MOEFNCC, has issued an approved TOR, or Terms of Reference, VDA file number IAJ11011/93/2019 IA2 Section 1, dated April 18, 2019. The approved TOR is attached as Appendix 1.1. However, as per the recent amendment published by MOEFNCC on January 16, 2020, exploration activity is categorized as B2 project and needs to obtain environmental clearance from State Environmental Impact Assessment Authority, SEIAA. Kane has applied to SEIAA Assam for environmental clearance of drilling of exploratory and appraisal wells, VDA proposal number SIA/AS/IND2/142005/2020, dated February 11, 2020. This EIA study has been carried out as per the earlier TOR issued by MOEFNCC, as early production activity was already included in the Form 1 and PFR submitted for the TOR. End quote. It is a matter of legal debate whether policy changes can be made applicable in a post-facto manner to projects after issuance of TOR by the Environment Ministry for the purpose of EIA studies. Nevertheless, in the report on its comprehensive plan, Vedanta further elaborated on its plan to carry out production activities as quickly as possible in case of discovery of commercially viable hydrocarbons following exploration. It said, quote, "The proposed project in AA-OHNP 2017/4 hydrocarbon block includes setting up of 6 EPUs, that is early production units, with capacity of 2,000 barrels fluid per day each, that is BFPD, and production of up to 12,000 barrels of oil per day, BOPD crude oil, and up to 2.4 MMSCFD associated natural gas, that is million standard cubic per day. Vedanta Limited, Division Kane Oil and Gas, as an interim plan in case of commercially viable discovery or discoveries of hydrocarbons in the block, and having established the size of the hydrocarbon field or fields, proposes to bring the field or fields into production of oil and gas immediately using one or more successful exploratory and appraisal wells by setting up of EPUs or quick production units, QPUs. Early production of the crude oil will enable the country to reduce dependence on import of crude oil." Unquote. Vedanta Report. This report mentions in detail the environmental settings and human settlements in proximity to the project. The oil block lies across Mariani, Jorhat West, Jorhat East, Teok and Titapur tehsils in Jorhat. At least one of the major settlements, Mariani, is just 170 meters to the north of the oil block. 2 other settlements, Teok and Titapur, are outside but in close vicinity to the block boundary. The report said, quote, "No part of the block area is falling within the Hollongapar Gibbon WLS. However, a portion of the block area is falling within the notified ESZ around the Hollongapar Gibbon WLS. The part of the block area, 181.31 square kilometers, which is falling within the ESZ, is not part of the proposed project and excluded from the present EC application. None of the development and production activity is planned inside the notified ESZ and within the forest area in this hydrocarbon block. The land use comprises of tea gardens, homestead plantations, agricultural lands, forest land and settlements. Besides these, river, canal, water bodies and marshy land have been observed in the proposed block." Unquote. The report is explicit about the presence of scheduled fauna in the project area. It states that as per the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, 2 species belonging to Schedule 1, namely hoolock gibbon, hoolock, and Indian elephant, Elephas maximus indicus, were found in the study area. It provides a detailed conservation action plan for each animal, adding, quote, "Hoolock gibbons usually are found at elevations ranging from 152 meters to 1,370 meters. This species prefers undisturbed forested areas like thick evergreen, mixed evergreen, and scrub forest." Unquote. Protecting wildlife. The action plan, as per the report, includes plantation activities, wildlife protection display boards, and creation of awareness program among working personnel with a total budget of 1 crore rupees over a period of 10 years. On the other hand, Vedanta submitted a separate application on June 6, 2023 with the Environment Ministry seeking consent for diversion of about 4.5 hectares of reserved forest land for oil and gas exploration drilling under the provisions of the amended Forest Conservation Act 1980. The ministry's FAC considered the proposal during 2 meetings held on July 4th and August 27th this year. A few discrepancies emerge in the project proposal as per the minutes of these 2 meetings. The minutes of the meeting, held on July 4th, say that the drilling site would be located within the notified ESZ of the Hoolock Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary. This is in contrast to Vedanta's conservation plan. It says that the area proposed for diversion is 4.4998 hectares and only 17 trees are proposed to be felled in the proposal, and that 1 borehole of drill cutting size 1023 cubic meter is proposed. The document quotes the proposal as saying that the project area lies within the notified ESZ of Hollongapar Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary. It said, quote, species like elephant, leopard and hoolock gibbon have been reported in the area proposed for diversion, unquote. It further quotes a report by the Divisional Forest Officer of Jorhat as stating that the project is in a relatively small area and that no major construction is anticipated. The report goes on, hence, the impact will be minimal and if necessary, a wildlife management and mitigation plan shall be prepared and all precautions shall be taken to cause minimal disturbance to the wildlife and to mitigate man-animal conflict. Contrary to Vedanta's conservation plan, after a site inspection conducted on April 9th this year, the State Forest Department in its report makes no mention of the presence of hoolock gibbons in the project site area. Nevertheless, in its report, the department recommended obtaining prior consent from the NBWL as the proposed area is located within the ESZ of Hollongapar Gibbon Wildlife Sanctuary. It also recommended that the Chief Wildlife Warden approve a human-elephant conflict mitigation and wildlife conservation plan with special emphasis on protecting the gibbon. The report also mentions the presence of elephants in the area. Despite these studies, reports and inconsistencies, the Environment Ministry's FAC recommended the project for clearance in a meeting held on August 27th. The minutes of the meeting also state that as many as 17 trees will be felled for the exploration project. In tune with the Assam government, the FAC too recommended in-principle approval for the project based on national interest, while listing a number of terms and conditions. Kane responds. A set of queries were emailed by this correspondent to Kane Oil and Gas on the exact number of trees that will be felled for the project and the sighting of hoolock gibbons, if any, during its own site visits. In a response, a spokesperson of Kane said, quote, as an environment-conscious company, Kane Oil and Gas strongly believes in protecting the biodiversity of the regions we operate in. We follow the highest standards of ESG, that is environmental, social and governance compliance, in our business operations to keep the environment and lives safe. We continue to strictly adhere to the stringent environment guidelines as stipulated by both the state government and central government ministries. We are strongly committed to our goal of no net loss to biodiversity due to our operations and further strive to make net positive impact to local biodiversity. End quote.
Ayaskant Das is an independent journalist and writer based in Delhi, NCR.
This is Frontline on Air. Major stories on the go.